Hi, I'm Heather, a certified personal trainer, yoga instructor, and have my BS in exercise science and behavioral coaching from Arizona State University. I currently live in Oregon with my 3 kids, who I will reference often.
And I'm Britt, a former Division I collegiate athlete turned recreational triathlete and fitness instructor. I have a degree in exercise biology from the UC Davis, and I currently live in Belgium with my husband and 4 kids.
Together, we're best friends wanting to bring the world of health and fitness back to a more grounded and balanced place that's accessible to everyone.
Each episode, we're going to talk about ways to live out a well-rounded and healthy life that makes sense in today's modern, busy world. We'll cover topics related to exercise, nutrition, mindset, mental health, competition, and so much more.
So sit back,
sign up,
and let's get ready to race to wellness. I do a lot in my life so that I don't experience decision fatigue, because I know it's something that I hate the feeling of not being able to make a decision about something. But I see it with my oldest. When we go to the grocery store to pick out a candy, the candy aisle is overwhelming because there's so many options.
Yes.
And like he's just staring at it and he's like, I don't know. He'll just like break down crying sometimes because he's like, I don't know how to make a decision. Like they all taste good. I want so many different ones. I have no idea. And so usually when that situation happens, then I like go, okay, do you want something chocolatey or something sweet? And he's like, oh no, I don't want chocolate. So we like rule out that section. And then I'm like, okay, do you want it to be sour something or sweet something? And then do you want it to be chewy or hard, or like breaking it down like that? But if you didn't have that like understanding of how to get down to a smaller point, you would just stare at the decision like, what do? I have no idea.
I feel that so much, and it happens to me every time I need to order like a new something, like a new gadget or whatever. If they have more than 3 colors, I'm doomed because because I'm just like, I don't know what color I want then, because normally like you have white or black or white or gray or black or gray, like those are your color options. But if you throw in there like blue and red and or like all of these options, then I look at it and I'm like, well, I don't know, I want 3 of these options. So now I don't know which one I want at all. Am I going to be mad if I order the red one and then 2 months later I realize I should have got the silver one or whatever?
Yeah, that's so funny. I just go to black.
Going back to what you were talking about with like helping your oldest make the decisions by asking him a question of, do you want chocolate or do you want this, or do you want sour or do you want this? I feel like I need a flowchart like that in everyday life at all times. Like someone create an app that's just like input your everyday life situation and we will give you a flowchart of questions, and if that question doesn't apply, you just hit does not apply here and it gives you a new question. And
yeah, it feels like WebMD a little bit, where it's like,
in a way,
there's symptom checker. It's like symptom checker, which part of your body hurts?
right?
Yeah.
Please mark all that apply, and then it will just give you, well, your symptoms could be any of these 12 diseases.
Yep. I feel like we need that, but for like mental health. Like I feel like the symptom checker is good-ish for physical stuff. Sometimes it's fucking wild. And it's like, you're dying.
Always cancer.
Like, oh no. It's always cancer. But I feel like we need that for mental health. Like today I'm feeling drained and I feel like I can't make decisions and I feel frustrated and I feel XYZ, like what am I experiencing? And it'll pop out, you're experiencing decision fatigue. Take a break.
Take a break. Go for a walk.
Yep. Right. It was interesting when I was researching for this episode, like the number of times that decision fatigue came up in correlation with burnout, which is an episode we've talked about. And I don't think that we talked about decision fatigue very much in that episode. So I'm excited that we can like make that connection for people of like, are you experiencing decision fatigue? How it would lead to burnout a little bit.
Yeah, there was a lot of kind of correlations that kind of lead into burnout, or that general state that we didn't get into because it's obviously a huge topic and we only have so much time that you want to devote to an episode. So I'm sure it will come up many more times in our discussions to come.
Yeah. It makes me wonder how often people are just experiencing burnout in their life and they that's how they feel all the time, and they don't recognize it or like connect that that's what they're experiencing, and they just feel like this is how life is supposed to be, and that's overwhelming and sad and like depressing and you shouldn't have to live like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's also, though, a difference between burnout and like full burnout.
Yeah.
My husband, he went to see our general practitioner doctor because he was experiencing a lot of the symptoms of it. And they had a long conversation about things to get him to where he was able to take a medical leave for a couple of weeks from work because of it. But in their conversation, he was saying, look, a true burnout, to really get over, process, and get rid of it in your own body, in your own mind, is like 3 to 6 months.
Whoa.
And it's like a
That's
full,
a
like,
lot.
we need to reset your body, like your cortisol levels, your hormones, all of these things need to be reset in your body because they're not triggering properly a lot of times. Like, you're constantly triggering stress, and so your cortisol levels are messed up.
Yeah. Yeah. That's wild.
They had to have this long conversation of, okay, how do you feel on a day-to-day basis, and what sort of things do you do when these feelings come up, and what are you eating, and what are you doing this? And so it was really interesting to hear his perspective from a medical side of diagnosing and trying to combat it.
Mm-hmm. I think it's so cool that that is supported in Belgium and versus the US where it's not. And I know that you and I have talked about like the reasons why it couldn't be supported here in the US currently. But I think it's really cool that you guys get to take advantage of that while you're there.
Well, at least
Mm-hmm.
like having, I feel like having more knowledge of it, more ways to help deal with it before you get to the point of needing to take a
Mm-hmm.
6 month sabbatical, basically. That's what's really important, is you shouldn't have to get to the point where you need 6 months. You should be
Yeah.
able to recognize before that all happens and deal with it beforehand, or at least help to minimize it.
Yeah. Absolutely. I feel like we should define decision fatigue, what it is for people,
Yeah.
because I feel like it's kind of that term is thrown around a little bit, and I think that it's important to recognize what it actually is. So, decision fatigue, the definition of it is it's a phenomenon where the quality of decisions made by individuals decreases after making multiple decisions. So if you're making decisions all day long, as the day progresses, your decision making capabilities get progressively worse and worse because your brain is so overwhelmed by the number of decisions that you're making that you can't weigh out the options between the two as well to determine what the positive one is.
Yeah. I feel like that's super relatable too for people who have to like manage their household. So, like, if
Mm-hmm.
you have multiple kids that you have to get to school and get to their after school activities, make their lunch, make sure that they're doing their homework, everything needs to be like done, and you're managing that, you are
Mm-hmm.
then making all of the decisions of what time will dinner be, what are we gonna eat for dinner, what
Mm-hmm.
where are you gonna stop for getting, like, all of the things along the way that you don't even think about as
Yeah.
decisions. You made that decision.
Yeah, I feel that as a parent, the number of questions that I have to answer all day long and decisions I have to make from my kids, because I have 3 kids. I get up in the morning. I'm like, my routine is kind of wild because I get up in the morning and I usually get up at like 4:30 or 5:30, depending on whether I'm going to the gym or not at that early. Then I get up, I make my breakfast, I make my tea, I get the kids' lunches packed, I make decisions around what the kids are eating for breakfast, I help them get their clothes ready, like get all their school supplies packed, all that kind of stuff, get them out the door, get them to school, come home, and then I'm doing my work all day. By the time that they get done with school and I pick them up, they've been focused on school stuff all day, and so then they get home and they want snacks, they want activities, they want all sorts of things. So they're asking me, can we go to the movies, can we go to the arcade, can we eat this, can I eat this, can I do this, can I da 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 da. And at some point in the middle of all of that, then I'm thinking about what we're having for dinner, what time I need to start making it, like all of those decisions. And as that's happening, they're asking me more questions about what are we, can I eat this? Can I do this? And at some point I just go like, I don't know. Like, do whatever you want is usually where I get to, like, because I'm like, I'm so tired of making decisions at the end of this day. Like, just do what you want, kids. And I just like turn off. That's not fair to them. Like, that's not good quality parenting all the time. I'm like, so I try to take the decision making out of those things that I'm doing, like making their breakfasts in the mornings. Like, sometimes I make the decision we're having pancakes and sausage and egg or whatever it is. And other times I take the decision making out of it and ask them, what do you want? And then I just let it be whatever they're going to have, give them 3 options and have that be it. Simplifying. I think that that's the main thing to remember about decision fatigue is really how can we reduce the number of decisions that we're having to make so that the quality of the decisions we're making stays high.
Yeah. Well, also recognizing that we're making 5 million decisions about things. That's an absurdly high number. We're making 10,000 decisions about things like every day.
Yeah.
And you don't even recognize things happened. You have decided you're going to sit in this chair versus on the couch. You have decided that you are going to have a blanket over you or not. You have decided that you were uncomfortable and so you brought your legs up onto the couch and now you're sitting cross-legged on the couch. Like all of these things happened without you physically saying, do I want to sit cross-legged on the couch or not? No, your brain was just like, you're feeling uncomfortable. I think we should sit cross-legged on the couch.
Yeah. Yeah. Your brain sometimes is doing things without you being cognizant of them. Yeah.
Exactly.
And sometimes that's to your benefit and other times it's to your detriment. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we started to talk about like what causes decision fatigue already. And like one of the big ones is you have far too many choices. So in your example of your oldest son in the candy aisle, just all of the candies are available. Don't know what to do. Or my example of there's too many choices for a color on this new watch that I want and I don't know what I need. Just give me 2 options, white or black.
Yep. Pick for me.
Somebody, make the decision for me. I feel like a lot of that is because we have too many choices, but also because we are then weighing before we've made a decision on anything, we're weighing how we're going to feel after that decision. So if I pick the Hershey's chocolate bar, am I going to be dissatisfied with the fact that I chose the Hershey's chocolate bar instead of picking Sour Patch Kids?
Yeah.
I think that's where it really comes from too, is like with the too many choices of I'm now weighing with my choice of things what my dissatisfaction is going to be before I even get to the point of, oh, do I want chocolate or do I want sour?
Yeah. Well, and sometimes you don't know, like maybe, I mean, not even just related to small things like the candy aisle, but like related to bigger things in your life. Like, especially if you've never been in a situation such as that before, then you're making a decision where either of those options in your mind, you're like, I have no idea what the outcome is going to be of this decision. So I don't know if I can make it with good information. I don't know. And so you just are trying to make a decision about something that you're not knowledgeable about.
Well, we also live in a society right now where it's become fairly common that we need to get the best. We need to get the best watch. We need to get the best candy. I think I've told you before the anecdote that Aziz Ansari uses in his book about getting the best tacos. And then he spends so long researching what is the best tacos to get that finally when he makes the decision on what one to go to, they're closed.
It took too long.
Took too long to make the decision. Now that one isn't even an option. You got to start back from the beginning.
Yeah. I think there's also oftentimes we're not taking into account what we're experiencing. So thinking about, have I fed myself recently in order to make this decision? Like, have I exercised? What is my mood like? What other experiences have I had today? All of those things impact our ability to make decisions, and we're not always accounting for those.
Or we're not cognizant of that happening. There could be too much stimuli going on that you just honestly don't recognize, that you are hungry and you haven't eaten in 6 hours and you're in a bad mood because you're hangry, and now all your
Yeah.
decisions, I don't care anymore about what's happening over there. I'm just upset.
Mhm.
I'm not recognizing why I'm upset.
Yeah. I actually have that in parenting a lot. Like most of the time with my kids, I'm very even keeled. I'm really good at communicating with them. I'm good at teaching them and not having to discipline or be frustrated with them. And then there are times where I am incredibly frustrated with them. And I think this situation is not any different than it happened yesterday or the day before, but my reaction to that situation is different. And oftentimes it's because I'm tired or because I'm hungry or because I'm frustrated by some other situation that it is then coming into that circumstance. And it makes my decisions around how I parent my children challenging. It makes it different than if I had been in this perfect bubble of a situation where I was well fed and well rested and XYZ all fell into
Mm-hmm.
place.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also find there's pressure around the timing of the questions because kids don't always think, oh, I have this going on in at 4 o'clock today. I should ask mom hours in advance about something related to that, about like, oh, I need to take food to this event. They don't think about that until in the moment as they're walking out the door. They're like, oh, I'm hungry. And then I'm like, what? I don't have time. We don't have time to stop. But if you don't, then that's not going to go well. And so in that moment, you're having to make decisions, hasty decisions around what you're feeding them, what's going on, what decisions are happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's like that time pressure a lot of times is really
Yeah.
impactful on the
Mm-hmm.
situation. Well, and I have this a lot come up in the mornings. Like as I'm getting the kids ready for school, they'll ask me, can we go to the theater today? Or can we go to whatever that afternoon? But I'm in the middle of all the other things that are going on. And I have to be very like cognizant of the words that come out of my mouth, because if there is in any way an inclination that I have said yes, they will remember when they get home and they will hold me accountable to that. And so I have to literally say to my kids all the time, I am not able to make that decision right now. Ask me again this afternoon. Just stopping that conversation in its tracks and not making a decision in that moment and having that be okay. Because that
Yeah.
is a decision that I do not need to make right now.
Or you can't make right now because your mind is
Mm-hmm.
super occupied somewhere else and needs to stay there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. Along those same lines, I'm like, oftentimes when they're asking me those questions, like I want to be able to say yes to my kids and say, oh yeah, we can go to the movies this afternoon. But a lot of times in that moment when they're asking me, I don't have enough information. Oh, we have karate or we have whatever happens to be going on that afternoon. I
Mm-hmm.
don't have that information in front of me to be able to make a proper decision. And so being able to take a step back and look at the information, look at what do we have going on this afternoon? Do we have time to eat before we go there? Do we have time
Mm-hmm.
to pack and get ready and all the supplies and drive there? Like all those things. Those again are all decisions that you have to make. And so simplifying those down, reducing the number of options, and then being able to look at all the information is helpful
Yeah.
when you're experiencing decision fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. With my kids, especially now as they're getting older, one of the things that I'm trying to do is take the decision making off of myself. So, up until this point, it's always been me making the decision about these things because they didn't have the information, they didn't have the understanding of how to make a decision properly. And so, as a parent, now I'm teaching my kids how to look at situations and make decisions more appropriately. So, thinking about my oldest in the candy aisle, up to this point, I've been the one that walks him through that flow chart. But now he knows how to go through that process of whittling it down to, okay, what do I want here? That's a skill that hopefully he will be able to take into other parts of his life and apply it there.
I feel like we can relate this to exercise and fitness and nutrition and all that as well, with
Mm-hmm.
along the lines of like lacking of information and wanting to do the right thing and just not knowing like how
Mm-hmm.
to do it, and then again being overwhelmed by choices. So like when I think of, we can just think of somebody beginning a fitness
Mm-hmm.
routine. I want to lose weight, or I want to improve my cardiovascular fitness so that I can walk up and down the stairs without getting winded.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how do I start?
Yeah.
And I feel like so many people get stopped right there of I don't know how to start this because you could literally do anything at this point of like starting your fitness routine. You could go for a
Mm-hmm.
walk, you could just walk up and down the stairs, you could go lift weights, you could go run, you could bike, you could swim, you can go to the
Yeah,
kickboxing.
all the
Like
things.
there's so many options, but what do I do? How do I do? I don't know.
Yeah. Or even thinking about like the number of gyms that are available. Do you want a CrossFit gym? Do you want kickboxing? Do you want Taekwondo? Do you want karate? Do you want jujitsu? Do you want Pilates? Do you want yoga? Like there's so many different activities. And especially if you don't have experience in any of those, it can be really hard to make a decision because you can see on social media that person really enjoys weightlifting. Maybe I'll try weightlifting. And then you go and do it and you're like, I'm really not enjoying this. Why? I don't understand why they get so much joy out of it. I don't understand. And so then that can be like, okay, I'm just not going to do it. But I really encourage people. There's a lot of gyms that offer like a 7-day trial. So you can go and check it out and try it out and like really go and use those, not just sign up for it because then you get the 7 days for free and then you never go and try it out. Like literally like make a plan to go and do the 7 days, make a plan to go and use that and see if it works for you because there are so many different activities that you can do and some of them are going to work and some of them are not. And the number of times that people come to my yoga class and say, I didn't think I was going to like yoga, like because they had this idea of it's very flowy and it's very calm and relaxing and da da da. And I'm like, no, like when you come to my yoga class, it's going to be good upbeat music. I'm going to kick your butt. You're going to be tired. You're going to be sweating at the end of it. And it's different than what your expectation is. And I feel like every exercise is going to be like that. And especially if you don't have any knowledge about it. A lot of the gyms will offer like a personal training session with your 7-day trial or whatever it is, where you get to meet with a personal trainer, or when you start at a gym, they do that. And that's something like I encourage people to take advantage of. And yes, they're going to sales pitch you and that kind of stuff. And if it's not right for you, be comfortable saying no. And that's okay. That's 100% okay, especially as a personal trainer. Like I offer personal training sessions to just about everybody that I meet, and I get turned down like 99% of the time. We're used to hearing no, and that's okay.
Hmm.
Like be
Yeah.
okay with that. But
But
yeah,
also,
but take
like,
advantage of those
each
things.
gym has a different vibe to it, and each class is going to
Mm-hmm.
have a different vibe to it. Like, your yoga class that you put on would be very different from a yoga class that I would put on. Or, like,
Yeah.
a weightlifting class that I do is going to be very different from a weightlifting class that you do. And so,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that, like, they're all going to be different, I think can also start to paralyze people as well because
Yeah.
I don't know what one to go to. So I think of like, am I going to go to Planet Fitness? Am I going to go to 24-hour fitness? Am I going to go to LA Fitness? Am I going to go to West
Mm-hmm.
Fitness? Like there's 5
Move.
million
Yeah.
yeah, there's 5 million gyms out there that like they're all around the same price point. They offer
Mm-hmm.
roughly the same services, but which one is
Mm-hmm.
going to be right for me to go to as opposed
Mm-hmm.
to me just signing up and then not using my membership because I don't like it?
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
So, now that we've recognized some of the reasons why we get decision fatigue, we've gone over why it's bad for us to be in that state constantly. We want to we want to obviously try to minimize it as much as possible. Like obviously you can't get rid of it because you're still going to
Mm-mm.
have to make decisions. You're still going to have to make decisions for your own body, for your own health, probably for your family, for your
Mm-hmm.
activities, for whatever. So they're still going to be there, but how do you limit the impact that they make on your mental focus and your just mental energy that you have for each day?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's talk about some strategies. I love strategies in life. I'm just like, this is what I'm going to do when this situation arises. Yep.
I have thought of every possible outcome for this, and here
Mm-hmm.
are the ways to deal with it.
Mm-hmm. We do this a lot in behavioral coaching. So, like when I'm meeting with a client and we're going over stuff, a lot of times people want to focus on the positive. So, like, I'm going to go to the gym and this is how I'm going to do it. And I like to take a moment and pause and talk about what are you going to do when you're tired? What are you going to do when life isn't going the way you're wanting it to, or you're stressed, or you're frustrated, or you're not seeing results? What are you going to do in those moments to continue going to the gym and to continue showing up for yourself? And like thinking through those and taking the time to really identify what you're going to do helps in the long term, so that when you run into those situations, then you're like, oh, I've already come up with 10 strategies to overcome this. And this is, I'm just going to choose this one today. So thinking through those so that you don't have to think about them in the moment when you're stressed, when you're frustrated, when you're whatever emotion you're experiencing.
Yep. I find that my place that I do that the most is when I'm in the shower.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh. Like I think about all sorts of like scenarios that are happening or like things that have already happened throughout the day and I had to make a decision on and maybe I'm regretting that decision.
Mm-hmm.
I then replay it back and I think of what I could have done differently or like what I think might have happened if I had chose a different outcome.
Mm-hmm. That's so interesting because the shower for me, a lot of people, I think that a lot of people identify like you, where they're like, the shower is where I have my best thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
I think about zero things in the shower, literally none. I am in the shower. Okay, so I should start by telling you that I grew up in Vernonia and we had a well water, which means that you take a shower that fast. Like you get in, wash your body, get out. And so as an adult, that's who I am as a person. I do not linger in the shower. I don't stand in the hot water. I don't any of that kind of stuff. I get in,
Mm-hmm.
wash my body, get out. There's no thinking that happens in there. My best thought processes happen after I go to the gym, because in the gym it's like almost a meditation. It's not really a meditation. But anyway, we'll talk about the nervous system at a different point and what that does. But like the gym allows me to shut down all those thought processes and just focus on what I'm doing in the moment. And then after
Yeah.
I go to the gym, I have this release of endorphins, and then suddenly I have really great thinking and thought processes and all that kind of stuff. And I've started recording them on my way home, like just talking out loud and going through my ideas and thought
Mm-hmm.
processes on life and decisions and all that kind of stuff. And usually there's some sort of gem in there that I can
Yeah.
find and hold on to. Yeah.
I also have like a lot of thinking space, I guess I would call it, when
Mm-hmm.
I'm swimming because
Oh, yeah.
there's no other sound that can really enter my brain and my
Mm-hmm.
ears because you're underwater. You don't have like I don't have headphones that I can use in the water. They do make them. I don't own them. So I can't listen to
Yeah.
music or a podcast or anything else. I can't hear the conversations that are happening around me at the gym. I'm just hearing the of the
Yeah.
water and the like breathing that's happening as I try not to drown.
Yeah. I love that. I was going to say, I don't think that I would have any good thoughts when I'm swimming because I'm a terrible swimmer. I literally had just like focused on don't die, don't die, don't die.
Nice.
Like, oh
Yeah.
my God.
Sometimes it's like me just repeating like song lyrics or things in my brain,
Mm-hmm.
like singing to myself as I swim. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's like me actually thinking through things, which is when like I get good stuff to come out. Like I'm thinking through some weird thing that happened at work or some
Mm-hmm.
altercation that happened. And I'm like, oh, how would I deal with this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think the good thing about what we're talking about here is that when you're thinking about big decisions that you have in your life, choosing a time of day where you have the capacity to think through those decisions and thought processes, like
Yeah.
choose to make those decisions then. And a lot of times we have all these decisions and worries happening in our heads that we're like, I need to make a decision. I need to do something about this. But we're doing it at a time when we don't have the capacity. And so learning how to prioritize our decision making so that in those moments when we're having frustrations and difficulties and stressors, we're not making big decisions in those
Mm-hmm.
moments, but choosing to take those big decisions that we need to make and putting them in a place in our day and in our life where we have the capacity to make them properly.
Mm-hmm. And also recognizing that, like, yes, there are some decisions that you probably can't put off, but
Mm-hmm.
you might have some extenuating circumstance where, like, your brain is now occupied by some sort of family emergency or
Mm-hmm.
some weird freaking thing that happened that now you just can't shut your mind off of other stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
you might have to accept the fact that you can't get into like a good spot to make that decision at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And sure, like, yes, again, it might be something you can't put off not making, but then you
Yeah.
have to know that you have other strategies and things set up to help you make decisions when
Yeah.
you can't be fully focused and attentive in the moment.
Yeah. I think in those moments, that's when it's important to have like a support system, like a
Mm-hmm.
person or a group of people that you reach out to, and you're like, hey, I'm experiencing this and I can't make a decision about it. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like this with my mom. Like, so 2 nights ago, I was having an emotional moment about like a lot of different things, and I couldn't identify like where is this coming from. And so I texted my mom and was like, hey, I'm having a moment. And she's like, what's going on? And so I called her and we sat and talked through it for a little while, and being able to come to an understanding of where that emotional experience was coming from, and moving forward through it. um yeah, it's being able to rely on people and surrounding yourself with people who are understanding and supportive of you and want to see the best for you, because obviously surrounding yourself with people who don't want the best for you are not going to help you make good decisions in those moments. But having people that are like, I want the best for you, I want to see you succeed, and are not coming from a place of jealousy or malice or any of that kind of stuff, they want to see you succeed, those sorts of people are the ones you want to reach out to and have you support you through that decision making process.
Mm-hmm. Or at least maybe they can take some of the mental burden off of you, because they
Mm-hmm.
could be someone that knows what's going on in your life, and they recognize, okay, I need to help you and support you
Mm-hmm.
in this moment, so maybe you really need to focus on, and maybe that support system can then come in and take over the decisions that need to be made for your kids and dinner
Yeah.
and all the other things that need to happen, so you don't have to think
Yeah.
about that anymore.
Yeah. Or I think of this like in relation to like health and fitness, right? So like having an accountability partner. So there have been times when you'll text me and you'll be like, I need to go for a run, but I don't want to, or my feet are cold or whatever. And so then I'll say something like, oh, get like I always say, put on a pair of socks and get your blow dryer. Like that's my thing about when my feet are cold. That's what I do. I put on fuzzy socks and then I blow dry in the socks so that my feet are nice and warm and overcome that. But like
Mhm. I think
those
my
decisions,
accountability partner in this moment, though, needs to get another thing to say to me.
I think so, because you don't have a hair
I
dryer.
don't own a blow dryer.
Oh my gosh. I'm like, well, we got to come up with something else.
Yeah.
But yeah, but like having that accountability partner to, I don't want to do this in this moment.
Hmm.
And I'm trying to make a decision in the moment of whether I push through this feeling or whether I stay home. Or even I'll have clients who are like sick, like they'll have a cold or
Hmm.
something, and they'll message me and say, should I go to the gym today, or is it better that I rest? And almost always my advice is like, you should rest. If you're not feeling well, you should rest. That's better for your body than going to the gym would be. And then sometimes, are you really sick or are
Yeah.
you being dramatic? Like, let's talk through
Hmm.
this a little bit more. And so having that person who knows your goals related to fitness and wellness, and can help you push through the struggles sometimes and
Hmm.
make those decisions. And oftentimes what I'll hear, some like if I'm having difficulty making a decision because of the stressors in my life or because of anything else, and I say like, hey, should I go to the gym, that person goes, yeah, you should go to the gym. Like, are you kidding? Yes, you should go to the gym. That's where you'll get your clarity from. And I know that as a person, right? We've already talked about, as soon as I'm done at the gym, I suddenly go like, oh, here's the light bulb, there's the answer that I was looking for. But yeah, finding that path to get there to make that decision properly. Mm-hmm.
I feel like that example comes back to, we don't want to make the decision. We want somebody else to make the decision for
Mm-hmm.
us. You know, you should go to the gym. If they told you to go to the gym and you actually had a reason not to go to the gym, you'd say, oh, well, actually,
Mm-hmm.
my leg's broken, so I can't really go.
Yeah.
like,
Yep.
like this
I
wouldn't
forgot
be
to give you this
something.
piece of information.
Yeah, exactly. Like, this wouldn't be the option, in that moment. Yeah, I'm just kind of putting it off because I don't want to. Can somebody else tell
Mm-hmm.
me to do it so that then I can just go into autonomy mode and just be, okay, I'm going to the gym now. This is my thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 100%.
kind of goes into like you need to limit your options of what you can do. Like if somebody tells you, no, you can't do the other things, you're going to the gym right now. Okay, I guess I'm going to the gym
Mm-hmm.
right now. As opposed to,
Yeah.
should I go to the gym? Should I go to the cafe and get a coffee? Should
Mm-hmm.
I go sit on the couch and watch Netflix? Like all of
Yeah.
these things that you could do. But no, this person told you to do this. You're doing this one thing. Go.
Go. Yeah. I think about this actually with my like gym membership because so I have a gym membership at Planet Fitness and then I'm part of the CrossFit gym. I have a garage gym that I've set up and I have my yoga space that I can go and do yoga in and I can go take classes over here with friends and whatever else. And sometimes that is too many places. Like I have too many options to go and work out. And so it stops me from making a decision about working out in general. And so I've gotten to a place where I just, this is where I go to work out. And then if any of those other ones happen to be available or like convenient, that's the one. If they're convenient, then I'll do them. But I have my one singular place that I go to and I love. Yeah.
I think that's probably why people like having a plan or having like a
Mm-hmm.
trainer or somebody because they don't then have to think about it at all. They now
Mm-hmm.
have here's your piece of paper with your calendar. On Monday,
Mm-hmm.
you are doing this, and on Tuesday, you're doing this, and Wednesday, you have to be at the gym because you're weightlifting, and on Thursday, like
Mm-hmm.
it's already set. You don't
Yes.
have to make a darn decision. You just follow what it says.
Yep. The only decision you're making is whether to show up or not show up. And I
Mm-hmm.
hope that you show up for yourself. I was just having that conversation with somebody last night about programming, like a programming only option for them,
Mm-hmm.
because they're like, I walk into the gym and I look at the equipment and I go, nope, not today,
Yeah.
because they don't know how do I work out? I want my shoulders to look like this. How do I get my shoulders to look like that? Great. I
Mm-hmm.
know how to get your shoulders to look like that. Let me make the plan for you. So you just show up and do the work.
Mm-hmm. Because there's
Yeah.
also, you could get them to look like that doing a variety of different exercises. It's not just going to be
Mm-hmm.
like shoulder press and done. You could
Mm-hmm.
do shoulder press, you could do cables, you could do this, you could do that.
So
And
many things.
so all these options, once again, it comes back to what do I do? I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's great to have somebody just lay it out there for you so that you can just mindful or mindlessly follow
Mm-hmm.
along and yeah.
Yeah. I also like to think of the decision making process as like you're planning a trip where you're choosing the big things first, right? Where am I going? Which would be what is my goal in making this decision? What is my goal? So thinking of it as planning a trip, where am I going? Where am I going to stay? Like, what is the process of me doing this going to be? What to get to my goal? Where am I staying along that trip? What activities am I going to do to get there? Which are your tiny goals that you're breaking down along the way? What steps am I taking to get to this big goal at the end? So breaking it down from the biggest decisions, then down to the smallest, because there's a million little tiny decisions in the small goals that you're making. But the big decision that you can make first is what do I want for my life? What is my health goal? Do I want to lose weight? Do I want to gain muscle? Do I want to increase my cardiorespiratory health? Like, what am I trying to achieve here? Making that decision around what your big goal is first, and then breaking it down to the smaller ones, that helps. I think another part of making decisions is limiting the number of options. So, thinking back to the candy store analogy that we were talking about and making decisions around that, like limiting the number of options. Like, if you know, so I know that I can't eat chocolate anymore. So, that wipes out a whole section of decision making for me. That is the saddest part of my life right now. I'm just letting you know. Jesus H Christmas. I freaking love chocolate and I love chocolate ice cream. And now that I'm not allowed to have it, I can have it. I'll just feel like shit. But now that I can't have it, it's like, but I only want ding dongs and ho hos and chocolate ice cream and chocolate chip cookies and cakes and mousse cakes and all of the chocolate.
I
That's
wonder,
all I want.
but yeah, limiting those factors down where you only have like, oh, I'm in the candy aisle and I can only have 3 of these things on here. So
Mm-hmm.
now I've gone from 50 choices to 3. It's a lot
Mm-hmm.
easier to decide between 3 choices than 50.
Yeah. Yeah. The way that I think of like my food choices, like thinking about food, a lot of times when people are putting themselves on a diet plan, they think of, I can't have any of these foods. And it's really hard mentally to process that you can't have, especially if you're making the decision for yourself to not
Mhm.
have that. When I think of my food choices and I quote, can't have something, right? So I can't have chocolate. I could totally have it. We've talked about, I could totally have it. I don't feel good
Yeah.
when I have it. And so making that connection so that it's an intrinsic value that I, as a person, want to feel good
Mm-hmm.
regularly, normally, all throughout my day, all throughout my life. And so I'm making a choice that's good for me. I'm making the choice to not have that so that my body feels good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Giving yourself, like empowering yourself that you are making that
Mm-hmm.
decision for a positive reason rather than it coming from a depriving idea of I'm taking this away from myself so that my body looks like this or so that my
Mm-hmm.
body feels like this, but making it positive. I'm making a choice so that I
Mm-hmm.
so that I feel good.
Well, it changes it from I'm not allowed to have that at all. And then
Mm-hmm.
all your brain does is fixate on that one thing that you're not allowed to have. Great.
Yeah.
And it moves it to I can have it. That's fine. You
Mm-hmm.
can have it. Just know that if you have that, you are going to feel like crap the next day. Your stomach's upset,
Mm-hmm.
your head hurts, you're this, you're that. Like it this was the choice you made. So you either feel like crap tomorrow, but you got to have your
Mm-hmm.
caffeine today,
Mm-hmm.
or you don't have the caffeine today and you don't have to deal with those side effects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 100%.
Another one that's really good for helping you making decisions and all that is just being organized with your life and everything as much as possible. So,
Mm-hmm.
if you are a digital person, having a Google Calendar, or if you are a pen and
Mm-hmm.
paper person, having a calendar in your house where you can write everything out on so that you know this is what is happening in my life. So that
Mm-hmm.
if I need to know if we can go to the movies on Wednesday afternoon, I can look at the calendar and say, no,
Mm-hmm.
we cannot.
Yeah. It took me a while to get to that point of like, because I always thought that I wanted a paper calendar and was like, I
Hmm.
like being able to write it down. But literally, it would be like 2 weeks in January that I would fill the darn thing out. And then somewhere in like June, July, I'd be like, oh, I should do this and start doing it again and then fall off. And
Hmm.
really just using my phone, like, to for the calendar is so much better. Like,
Hmm.
it's so much better for me to just be able to put it in there. And to your point of like, I can always look in my calendar because I'm
Yes.
consistent about putting it in there and know that my appointment is in there. And if
Hmm.
I don't, if we're having a conversation and you're like, let's hang out on Tuesday the 3rd at 12 o'clock. And if I don't put that in my calendar, it's not going to
Yeah.
happen. So I will say to you, I put that in my calendar. That is a
Writing it down.
yes, because I'm like you and I even thinking about the podcast. Like we'll talk about like, oh yeah, we should record on Thursday, and then it's Thursday, and we're like, were we supposed to record today?
What
Yes, we
time are we
didn't put it
meeting?
anywhere, right? What are we doing? Yep.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
But
you
also,
guys, we
like,
are goddamn professionals.
we're so professional.
So professional. Yep.
But
Oh my
also
gosh.
thinking about the fact that you have it in your phone, you have it on you at all times so that in the moment,
Mm-hmm.
you no longer have to think, I need to put that on the calendar. You just pull out your phone and you put it down, and then you get to forget about it. You don't have to
Yes.
remember it for 3 hours until you get home, and then you can write it on your calendar. So that
Mm-hmm.
mental
Yeah.
burden of having to hold on to the thought of, I need to go to this doctor appointment at noon on Friday, no
Mm-hmm.
longer has to be in your brain. It's in your calendar, and you'll get the reminder on Thursday about it being tomorrow or whatever you do.
Yep. 100%. My mom calls it her one touch rule. So, like, if somebody gives you information that you need to do something with, do it right now. You've already got it in your hand, do it now, and then it's done. And you can use that rule in your life, right? So, like, thinking about uh, I'm eating my dinner. Here's my bowl is already in my hand with my silverware. I walk it to the kitchen sink, put it in the dishwasher, and it's done. I don't have to think about doing those dishes anymore. And that sort of decision making process where that's just how you function within your life is that you don't have the option to put it down and put it off until later. You just do it now in the moment, leaves so much space in your brain for when you do need to make those bigger decisions in your life, because you're not bogged down with, okay, I need to cook dinner tomorrow night, but my dishes are all dirty. My dishwasher is full. My stove isn't clean. My trash needs to be taken out. All of those things that are happening in your kitchen, like taking all of those out by just being consistent in making those decisions and doing the work. At first, I'll tell you, at first, it's hard to get yourself into that routine of doing it.
Well, it's
But
discipline.
once
You are not
it's
disciplined to
discipline.
want to do it because it's easier just to sit here and say, oh,
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to do that right now. I'll do it
Yeah.
in 20
Because
minutes.
it's not fun. The things that we do in our life, like a lot of the things, like having to do laundry and wash and fold the laundry, having to do the dishes, having to go to the gym is not always fun. But
Mm-hmm.
is it good for your life? Yes. Is it good for you? Yes. Do you feel better when you do it? Yes. Yep. Darn it
Yeah. Darn it.
all.
Adulting is
Yeah.
hard. It
Yeah.
rolls into like just automating a lot of your decisions. So like
Mm-hmm.
if you are someone that knows you don't have a lot of time in the morning, you then need to set yourself
Mm-hmm.
up at night for the morning routine. So maybe you lay out all your clothes for the
Mm-hmm.
next morning so that in the morning when you wake up, you no longer have to go to your closet and stare at your clothes and say, what do I want to wear? You already know. You laid it out for you. Here it is. You made that decision
Mm-hmm.
last night before you went to bed.
Yeah. Well, and along those same lines, like we've talked about, like with my clothes, I have the same shirt in 5 or 6 or 7 colors because I know that the shirt looks good on me. I know that the colors go together with the pants that I own. And that's it. Like I don't have to think about it. I wash, dry, fold, not fold, I hang up all my clothes, but I'm like, but then I just go to there and I pull one out. Doesn't matter what color it is. I know that it's going to look good. That's it. And I know that there are a lot of people who are like, but I like variety and I like looking a different way every day and all that kind of stuff. If that works for you, great. I love that for you. For me, that is a decision that I don't want to have to make every day.
Yeah.
I don't want to. Yep.
But
I took it
also,
out of
if
my
you're the
life.
person with variety, you then just set it up for yourself beforehand so that you don't have to waste the time of what do I want to wear? Do I really want to wear this?
Mm-hmm.
Is it cold? Like you already know, you've set it up, just put it on and you go to work.
Mm-hmm. 100%. Yeah. I think about this too with like the way that we eat. So we talked with Nikki in the last episode about, maybe it was the last episode. I think so. We talked with Nikki about nutrition and about those moments when you've let yourself get over hungry and
Hmm.
suddenly you can't make a decision in that moment because your brain literally doesn't have the energy to do it. And so in that moment, having the same snack that you grab, like I grab a string cheese or I grab a handful of nuts and seeds, like
Hmm.
something so that you have can put energy into your body, give yourself a moment, your brain a moment to replenish, and then you
Yeah.
can make a decision that you need to make. Yeah.
Hmm. And it needs to be an easy snack. It can't be
Mm-hmm.
a peanut butter and jelly because the peanut butter and jelly sandwich now requires you to get the bread, get the peanut butter, get
Uh-huh.
the jelly, and assemble. Like that's too many
Yep.
steps for in the moment of I'm hangry, I don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You literally need to be able to grab it, open a package, put it in your mouth. That's it. That's the
Yep.
extent of decision making. And it needs to be the same snack. Like maybe you have 2 snacks that you choose from. Like I have in my drawer, I have string cheese or I have a little like nut and seed with cheese from Costco thing. And that's it. Like that's my drawer. It's in one specific drawer in the fridge. So if I open that drawer, the fridge drawer, and I don't know what I'm looking for and I can't make a decision, that drawer is where I go to immediately. Grab that drawer. That's the one. Put it in your face. That's it.
Put it in your
Same spot,
face.
same place. Put it in your face. Yeah. I think another thing, I was actually just talking to my mom about this yesterday. So my mom came into my yoga class and she said that she has been doing yoga on her lunch break or like as a break
Hmm.
in the middle of the day. And yesterday she didn't do that. And so by the end of the day, she had a headache and she was tired and frustrated and like burnt out, honestly, just burnt out on her job and her stuff. And so, like, taking breaks throughout the day and allowing yourself the space to like go outside, be away
Hmm.
from decision making. Or when you come home, like she had talked about that she comes home and her partner will ask her like 5 questions or have her trying to make 5 decisions. And she's like, I don't know. and
Mm-hmm.
just like giving yourself the space to be like, I need 15 minutes before I can make those decisions, and having that be okay. Like
Yeah.
being okay with taking a break or replenishing your body in some way so that you can make those decisions. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's something very like restorative about being in nature. So
Mm-hmm.
like not necessarily like not nature as in like I'm on the sidewalk like near
Mm-hmm.
my building and that like going to like nature where you don't see cars, you don't really see other people, like you're just surrounded by trees and birds and
Mm-hmm.
whatever else. Like I feel like it allows your brain to enter a very different spot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a woman on TikTok who she does that. Like she goes for a walk in nature every day and she takes a video of it and talks about the restorative power of like touching a plant or touching a tree or like
Mm-hmm.
grounding yourself, taking off your shoes and putting your
Yeah.
feet in the grass. I
Mm-hmm.
sat yesterday in the grass and to have a conversation with a friend yesterday for the first time in since I don't know last summer because it's been Oregon and cold and gross, but it was so nice like to just
Yeah.
sit in the grass and like smell the earth around me. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I felt so my mind felt open to new ideas while we were having the conversation, and it felt like because we were sitting there rather than when we were sitting in the smoothie shop getting ready like to walk out
Mm-hmm.
like waiting for our smoothies, it felt very like restricted. There's something
Yeah.
very mind opening about going out into nature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
I also a week ago wouldn't have been talking like this because it was cold and gray and disgusting in Oregon. But
Hate it
here
here.
it's sunny now. It's 78 degrees outside, and I'm like, oh, nature's beautiful. Oh
It
my
was
god.
gray here all day.
Oh no. I'm sure it's gonna be gray here again. Let's see.
I'm sure probably tomorrow.
Mm, probably tomorrow. Oh, Thursday. Nope. Sunday. Sunday it's cloudy and 61 again. And then rain, 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 rain.
Rain, 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 rain. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Oh,
I
not
was
chilling.
thinking about like the way that I like create routine in my life. This is another
Mm-hmm.
conversation I was having with my mom last night. I do things like on Sundays, I always change my sheets. I always wash my shower curtain on Sundays. I
Mm-hmm.
always do XYZ on a specific day. Like for my personal health, I always do my breast examinations on the first of the month. It's a reminder in my phone. It pops up
Mm-hmm.
on that day. It takes a couple of minutes. Ladies, please do this. Recently, I had a friend that passed away from breast cancer. So please, please, please do your examinations, get yourself checked out,
Mm-hmm.
all that kind of stuff. But creating those routines in your life around those things so that again you're not having to make decisions about like when you're in the moment and you're tired and
Mm-hmm.
you're like, ugh, I really need to change my sheets. Like, nope, you don't get to,
Or
not that you don't get to be tired, but like you've already made the decision that you're going to do it on Sunday, and so just do it.
or it's the you have to now remember when was the last time this happened.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
like when I think about that is we had at the time written down on our paper calendar on the wall our
Mm-hmm.
pet for flea and tick medication for the dog and
Yeah.
the cat. But when 2003, no, 23,
Oh my
oh
gosh,
God,
where are we?
where are we? But when 2023 ticked around and we got a new paper calendar for the wall, we forgot to rewrite in the schedule of the pet medication. And
Mm-hmm.
well, I know I missed the cat one, so it's fine. But
Oh my
I
gosh.
don't think I missed the dogs one, but like I then
Mm-hmm.
had to in my brain spend a lot of mental energy to be like, when was the last time I gave him this? Because we had already thrown away
Mm-hmm.
the paper calendar. Like you could not go back and check the records. Like it's gone.
Yeah. Yep.
And so
And especially
that
on something like that, you're like, I don't want to give it to him too
something
soon. I
important.
also don't want to
Yeah.
wait. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so for things that are important, like I need medications to be done, I need to do my breast exams or
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is that's something that is for your health specifically or medication related
Mm-hmm.
or something for your job that needs to be done on deadlines but
Mm-hmm.
isn't an everyday thing, like
Mm-hmm.
it's very important to have like a set routine for it, as opposed to thinking of it in the moment and being like, I guess I'll do it today.
Yeah. Yeah. I think about this with like taking my vitamins. I have a reminder in my phone in the morning to take my vitamins. And this goes back to, so I don't know if you've read the Four Agreements. I think I've talked about it before
Oh,
on the
yeah.
podcast, but there's a book. Yeah. So one of the agreements is being impeccable with your word.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't just apply to other people, it applies to you. Like if you make a promise to yourself that every day I'm going to take my vitamins, take your vitamins, like do it for yourself. Don't lie to yourself over and over. I'm going to start my fitness routine. And then you never do. Your brain is going to get used to the idea that you lie to yourself all the time. And so being impeccable with your word to yourself, when you say, I am going to work out so that I feel better, work out so that you feel better, so that your brain learns, no, I hold myself accountable to myself, that I am impeccable. I do not lie to myself. I tell myself the truth. And I think that that's one of the key like jumping off points um, for personal growth is when you're willing and able to hold yourself accountable to your own expectations. That's
Mm-hmm.
huge. That's huge for your
Yeah.
growth.
And it's also important to recognize and realize that you may not be doing this on purpose to yourself. So thinking of the
Mm-hmm.
vitamin one, I'm going to take my vitamins every single day. Well, if you've never taken vitamins or medication on a schedule before, it's probably
Mm-hmm.
not in your brain and your routine to then
Yeah.
go, oh yeah, I need to get my multivitamin and my vitamin D and my calcium and whatever it is that you're taking. And
Mm-hmm.
so if you forget to take it, know that
Mm-hmm.
it was probably not you consciously saying, I don't want to take my vitamins. It was
Mm-hmm.
probably you saying, I didn't set myself up for success to take that vitamin today on my brand new habit that I'm building.
Yes, yes. And habits they do take time to build
Hmm.
before your body is like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
this is just normal routine. Yeah.
And your
Mm-hmm.
brain, because you need the brain
Mm-hmm.
capacity to be like, oh yeah, that's something that we do every day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and I talk about this with personal training clients. So when people are like, I'm going to go to the gym, like we've talked about it before on the podcast, that it's not just making a decision to, I'm going to the gym. It's making the decision that you're going to the gym, which means a new morning routine, which means new brushing your teeth schedule and washing your face schedule and alarm schedule, which is the night before. And then again, like, what clothes are you wearing, which is a new potentially laundry schedule.
Hmm.
Like all these other little decisions that factor into your success of going to the gym, you have to plan for those and
Hmm.
account for what am I going to do when I didn't follow through on washing the laundry and I don't have any
Hmm.
clean clothes? Or what am I going to do when I get up in the morning and I don't want to go to the gym? What am I going to do in all of those moments? And I think this is where it's important, like we talked about, having a support system. So if you don't have people around you who are supportive of the new habits, like reaching out to somebody that is a professional. So reaching out like to myself, I'm a behavioral coach and I can help you through those processes. Reaching out to a personal trainer or a life coach, something like that that's available to you, so that you have the support system and can be walked through those processes and through those thoughts. Because especially if you've never set up a new routine around meal planning, around diet nutrition, around food, around the gym, around any health behavior. If you've never done it before, you don't know what you don't know. And so, like, having somebody, I know you hate that phrase. I'm so sorry. I watched your face. You were like, I hate it.
Why?
But really, why did she say it? But really, I'm like,
Could have
not
picked
as an
anything.
excuse, but
Yeah.
yep, yep, yep.
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
you don't know how to do something that
Mm-hmm.
you've never encountered before. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And at all different ages in our life, that's how we are. And so it's fascinating the expectation that we be able to make decisions in our lives about things that we have zero experience in. It's a lot. And so simplifying those decisions, if you can, is incredibly helpful. Having it be the same decision-making process every time so that you're not bogged down and overwhelmed.
Thanks for joining us today at Race to Wellness. We hope you found it both fun and informative. If you'd like to support the podcast, you can visit savagehealthllc.com and make a donation on the Race to Wellness page. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on our next episode.
We love hearing from you, so feel free to ask us any questions or leave us a comment down below. You can click on the links in the description to follow us on social media, or simply send us an email at racetowellness2023@gmail.com.